Hello, folks. It's me, Rattenborough, once again. If you recall, you learned all about reptiles last time. How exciting that was! Can you remember which group of animals you are going to hear about today? Birds. I can't wait to tell you all about my friend Ebenezer. I met him on the continent of Africa. Before I tell you about him, though, I thought we could begin today's lesson by quickly reviewing how Paulo, Tabitha, and Anna are related to each other. Remember, just because they don't look the same, they do have quite a bit in common, beginning with the fact that they are all members of the animal kingdom. I brought along special diagrams of their skeletons to help you. Can you tell which skeleton belongs to each animal? What common characteristic is visible in all three? Yep, that's right. All three of them have backbones. So, as you probably recall, scientists classify them as, yes, that's right, vertebrates. We're not going to spend much time talking about their internal body temperatures today. By now, you should know that none of them have a constant body temperature. Paulo, Tabitha, and Anna are all cold blooded, and their temperature changes depending on their surroundings. That makes two characteristics that all three of them hold in common: the fact that they're all vertebrates and the fact that they are all cold blooded animals. So now let's see where Ebenezer would fit in. We know that he belongs to the animal group classified as birds, but let's confirm it. Are birds vertebrates? Indeed, they are. Ebenezer has a strong backbone that reaches all the way up his long neck and supports his head. His bony skeleton is very important. His bones are extremely light, with lots of air cavities, or hollow places, inside them to help him fly. He uses his muscular legs to push off the ground, and then his wings take over. The weight and arrangement of his bones help him soar through the air. Now let's take a vocabulary pause. We read their bones are extremely light with lots of air cavities or hollow places inside them to help them fly. First, what is the definition of cavities? Well, here's a hint. The definition of cavities is in the sentence. Circle our commas in the sentence. And notice how after the vocabulary word cavities, our definition is given to help us. Next, we are going to do a bird bone experiment. So we just read that birds have strong hollow bones. These are similar to straws. So we are going to make an experiment using straws and paper plates and tapes. We also have pennies. How many pennies do you think our table will hold? Okay, now add pennies to the plate until your structure falls. Make sure to place all pennies all around the plate until it falls down. Okay, now that we have done that, did you think this experiment changed the way you thought about bird bones? Did you think it stayed the same? Or did you think your opinion changed? Birds are the lucky ones, aren't they? How many of you have ever wished that you could fly? I do very much like being a rat, but sometimes it would be great fun to fly. Ebenezer is very graceful, isn't he? So far, you have learned in detail just about cold blooded animals, reptiles, amphibians, and fish. Do you think Ebenezer and all birds are cold blooded too? Scientists classify birds as warm blooded because their internal body temperature remains constant no matter where they fly. Birds have several characteristics that enable them to fly, but being warm blooded is essential to flight. They have a very high metabolism, as only warm blooded animals do. Metabolism is the process that changes food into energy in most animals' bodies. When we speak about the high metabolism of birds, we are speaking about the fact that they have a steady flow of energy that helps them maintain the high levels of activity required by flight. The higher the activity level of an animal, the higher its metabolism is likely to be. What this means when it comes down to eating is that they need lots of food to maintain that energy. Have you ever heard the saying, eats like a bird, for somebody who eats very small amounts of food at one time? Ebenezer told me that an important thing to remember about this expression is that it does not mean that birds do not eat very much. In fact, Ebenezer and birds like him need to eat 2 times their body weight in food every day because they have such a high metabolism and burn lots more energy than most animals. Of course, there are lots of small meals a day for birds, quite unlike an anaconda, who sometimes eats only one big meal in a period of many days. So, someone who eats like a bird is usually someone who picks at their food and only eats small bites at a time. Now, let's take another vocabulary pause. So, we read they have a very high metabolism as only warm blooded animals do. Metabolism is the process that changes food into energy in most animals' body. So, what does the word metabolism mean? Here's a hint. The sentence gives us an example of the definition for metabolism. Next, let's look at our bald eagle's wingspan. So, the wingspan of a bald eagle is 7 to 9 feet. So, I am going to pass out white rectangular paper to each of you. And in pairs, that means 2 kids, one student will lay down on their back as the other students trace their wingspan. Then, with our tape measure, we will measure our own wingspan, and then the next student will go. So, like all birds, Ebenezer is warm blooded and he's a vertebrate with lightweight bones to help him fly. Look at this image and describe other physical characteristics that help scientists classify Ebenezer as a bird. Good eyes, boys and girls. Let's begin with his wings. Ebenezer has wings, and wings are essential to flight. The shape of a bird's wings determines how far and high a bird can fly, in addition to its lightweight bones. Now look at this picture of an American bald eagle. His long, broad wings are built so he can glide or move smoothly and continuously. He can soar great distances, traveling up to 65 miles per hour. Compare the eagle's wings to the tiny, tapered wings of the hummingbird, one of the smallest birds on earth. His wings beat rapidly, 20 or more beats per second, as he hovers or floats and flutters in midair. What else helps Ebenezer and all birds fly? Feathers are a great help, serving as lightweight coverings for their wings. They mesh together as their wings flap downward, parting again to let air through as their wings sweep upward. Feathers also act as insulation. Insulation is an extra layer that protects birds' skin from the sun and traps in heat, providing energy and warmth in the winter months. The point of the feather, where it is attached to a bird's body, is called the quill. All birds have feathers. No other animals do. So, if you spot a feathered friend, you may assume that it's a bird. Because their precious feathers take quite a beating, birds take good care of them and often preen them with their beaks to keep them clean, waterproof, and in the right position. Take a look at Ebenezer's beak. Isn't it a beauty? Not all birds have such long beaks. Why do you think his is so long? Well, I'll tell you. He told me it's a terrific hunting weapon. He uses the end of his beak to grab small prey, such as snails and crayfish in the surface waters of the marshland, and to spear larger prey, such as frogs and snakes on marshy wetlands. Appearing in many different shapes and sizes, beaks are often used to identify birds. Their main function is for feeding. So a bird's beak can provide scientists with clues to a bird's eating habits. Take a look at this finch's beak. Depending on where you live, you may have seen a finch at your bird feeder. They use their beaks to crack open seeds. Next time you see a bird, look at its beak and see if you can guess whether it eats fish, seeds, insects, mice, or nectar. Now let's take another vocabulary pause. So we read that feathers also act as insulation. Insulation is an extra layer that protects bird skin from the sun and traps in heat, providing energy and warmth in the winter months. So there are three possible definitions for installation. When you hear the correct definition, raise your hand. Does installation mean to move smoothly, mesh together, or an extra layer? Birds' feet are another clue to different bird habitats and lifestyles. Hawks have long talons or claws to catch their prey. Waders have long legs. Woodpeckers have feet adapted to climbing trees. Perching birds have single hind or rear toes for grasping branches, and ducks and geese have webbed feet for swimming. Now, let's take a pause, and in small groups, I will pass out a set of bird feet cards. While I'm passing this out, I want you to predict the characteristics of the birds based on their feet in the pictures. Once we're done, groups will share their predictions and explanations to the class. Birds are the only group of animals that give birth by only one means. There are fascinating pattern breakers in all the other groups. All birds lay eggs. Their eggs are yolk filled and have hard calcified shells. They need to be incubated or kept warm so the parents sit on them until they hatch. This can be dangerous because sitting birds are prime targets for predators. Most birds prepare a nest or shelter for their young using whatever materials are available to them in nature. Some make nests from twigs and straw. Others build nests of mud. Woodpeckers create cavities in trees, whereas kingfishers bore into riverbanks. These nests provide safe havens or safe places, protecting both eggs and baby chicks from harsh weather and animal predators. Some birds, like chickens, are able to see, walk, and feed themselves almost immediately after hatching. However, many birds are born in a very immature state and require a lengthy period of prenatal care. Parental care. We spent lots of time today talking about what helps birds fly. Strong muscles, light bones, powerful wings, and airy feathers. But did you know that in spite of having all those things in common, some birds are unable to fly? Flightless birds include the largest bird on earth, the ostrich. With a 7-foot wingspan, it seems odd that ostriches can't fly. but they hold records for being both the fastest birds on land and the fastest two-legged animals on Earth, able to run up to 40 miles per hour. Australian emus, also large and flightless, look a lot like ostriches and often travel long distances to find food. Penguins are perhaps the most endearing or affectionate inspiring of all flightless birds, marching upright like people as they move around in their habitats. These aquatic birds of the southern hemisphere waddle along their short legs and webbed feet down to the sea. Their wings serve as flippers to carry them swiftly through Arctic waters, traveling up to 15 miles per hour. I would love to see your penguin walk. Birds live all over the world in cool, wet rainforests, along ocean shores, in dark, dense evergreens, in hot, dry deserts, and on the banks of lakes, rivers, and streams. Some travel long distances migrating to warmer homes in winter, whereas others are homebodies, never straying ever far from where they were born. Some can swim and others can fly. Some enchant us with their songs, whereas others shout, "Caw, caw." Birds come in all different shapes and sizes, but all birds are warm-blooded, egg-laying vertebrates with feathers and wings. Birds are very different from the animals we will study next time. So far, you've learned about fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds. What do you suppose is next? I'll give you a hint. They're hairy and warm blooded, and you might just find that you know more about them than you think you know. Thank you for being such great listeners. I'll see you very soon.